So the last time we spoke, I talked about the costs of building a home. Now, as I mentioned in the previous video, the costs of building aren't only just the actual build. There are costs in planning, there are costs in post, and then there are other costs that you might find along the way that are not explicit from the beginning. Now, you know of a lot of projects where people were well-intentioned. They went into the project, thinking they have a budget for their home, and then something happens that was not planned for, and then it torpedoes the whole project. Case in point, we are starting a new site over here where I'm in Euphoria Estate. It's a golf estate. We're building a holiday home for someone. We started clearing the site, and while we were clearing it, disaster struck. We looked at the soil profile. That is all sand. So most of the soil over here is sand. There's barely any bedrock, and then there's potential water issues as well. So now, whatever plan we had for the foundation is out of the window. We need to do a specialized foundation for this home. What does that mean? Whatever the owner wanted to pay, the price went up because naturally the costs of building went up. So that's what we're going to be doing in this video. We're going to be breaking down all the potential hidden costs that you guys need to plan for, so that when you build your dream home, you don't have an issue and it doesn't turn your dream home into a dream nightmare. Let's break it down. While the initial costs of construction are well known, there are a lot of hidden costs that could impact your budget heavily. When embarking on a house construction project, one of the initial costs is acquiring the land that you're actually going to build on. This includes the price of the land, the legal fees, as well as the transfer costs. Here are some common fees that you might encounter when buying land in South Africa. The purchase price, the conveyancing fees, the transfer costs, the land surveyor costs, as well as the financing costs. It is important to consider that these prices may vary and new regulations might impact these costs. The next step after buying your land is, of course, designing your home. That is, putting your architectural plans together. When dealing with an architect, there are several costs to consider. Some architects charge percentage-based or they charge hourly. It also depends a lot on the expertise and the experience in the field. The biggest expense, however, when you come to architects is the scope and size of the project. The South African Council for the Architectural Profession issues guidelines for how much architects can charge. They recommend that architects can charge around 8% of the total fee of the project, based on 12,500 per square meter. It is essential that you discuss with your architect up front their fees and what it entails, so that there are no misunderstandings and additional costs later in the process. Another fee that most first-time home builders overlook are the engineering fees. Now, the cost of the professional engineer depends on many factors. These factors include size and complexity, the specific location within South Africa, the material used, and the level of detail and customization required. Additional fees that the engineer might charge also depend on their experience in the field. I recommend that you contact local engineers to get up-to-date, accurate fees based on what you're requiring for your project. Depending on your location, there are generally 3 bodies that need to approve your plan. These are your Homeowners Association, the municipality, as well as the NHBRC. When obtaining your approval for your plans, there are several costs that are involved. Let's begin with the Homeowners Association. Some estates have specific requirements for the approval of your building plan. These requirements may include estate management fees, architectural style and compliance, and adherence to estate regulations. It is essential to consult with your estate management so that you know all the fees that are involved with the approval of your plan. The second is municipal approval. Municipalities normally charge fees for the processing of plans. These fees vary according to size and complexity, as well as the specific municipality where you're located in. The last is the NHBRC approval. The NHBRC might require the submission of specific documents when approving the plan.
While some of these services might be provided by other professionals like the architects and engineers, there may be additional costs incurred when getting an HPRC approval. To minimize unexpected costs and to ensure a smooth process when getting approval, it's important that you go and consult with the relative regulation bodies and authorities. When building a new home using a mortgage, there are several costs that you need to consider. We touched on some of these in section 1, but we're going to do a deeper dive on this section. The costs can be categorized into the following sections. The first is bank costs. Mortgage lenders may charge various fees. These include application, approval, and registration fees. The second is conveyancing fees. Conveyancing is a process of transferring ownership from the seller to the buyer. This process includes using the services of a conveyancer who will charge a specific fee. The third is home inspection fees. When you're obtaining a mortgage, the lender may require that there is an inspection process throughout the building process to ensure that it's up to standard. Often banks send inspectors throughout the process to ensure fair value and quality. It is essential to budget for these costs when getting a mortgage so that you can ensure a smooth buy and a construction process. So we discussed material and labor costs in our initial video, but they can also be considered hidden costs due to potential fluctuations during the construction process. Now, if you haven't seen our video talking about the initial cost of construction, after this video, be sure to go to our description and look at that video as well. A good example is the COVID pandemic that we all went through recently. Due to the lockdowns, there was a scarcity of materials nationally, rapidly increasing the prices of all of these building components. The price of aluminium increased drastically because it's an imported commodity. The cost of building at the beginning of 2020 was drastically lower than the cost of building at the end of it due to all of these factors. It's important to have additional rainy day funds for such instances where the price of building increases over a short period of time. Related to material and labor costs, it's important to budget for unforeseen expenses such as design changes, project delays, and cost overruns. We've had many instances during our own projects where halfway through a project an owner changes their mind about something, and naturally that will change the cost of building your home. So it's important that you have a contingency in your budget to factor in some of these potential changes that might come in future. When building a new home in South Africa, consider the following maintenance costs. Rates and levies by local municipality and homeowner associations, utility costs such as electricity, water and sewage, homeowners association fees, regular maintenance such as painting, roof repairs and landscaping, occasional repairs such as latent defects, leaks or other issues, insurance as well as security. It is essential to budget for these things to ensure good upkeep of your newly built home. So you're probably sitting there thinking to yourself, how do I put a plan together so that I'm not one of these people who fall inside these pitfalls of construction? Firstly, it's important to assess your budget and obtain funding before you start building your home. There are many times someone has a little bit of money and decides to build anyway and says, I'll come up with the money during the process. Now this is a big mistake. Make sure that you know how much it's going to cost in totality and that you have the finances to do the entire project. Furthermore, being aware of some of these topics we've discussed today, as well as educating yourself throughout the entire process, will help you in minimizing the costs of building. It is important that you collaborate with good providers and contractors so that you can get the best competitive prices as well as keep your budget in check. By being aware of all of these potential pitfalls, you put yourself in a better position to be successful in your endeavor of construction. If you're looking for a good builder in Polokwane, Pretoria, and Johannesburg, please see the description below. If you want to see the latest home built by Mokonyane Property Group, click here.